Hey guys, 7 here, and welcome to the kickoff of a new series I'm going to be working on called Learning with Looch. Great title, yeah, I know. Let's get right into it here. First episode. Basically, this whole series is going to be focused on different things you can do to try to improve your gameplay, and I might do this for different games, but for right now, I'm going to be doing it here on Modern Warfare. And the first place that you should start, think any game, is the settings. There are a lot of settings in different games. Different games have different a different variety of settings. Some games have a ton of settings. Some games have like a medium amount. Some games don't have that many settings at all. But the point is, across all of them, you should at least check. It's worth it to at least look in the settings, see what there is, and basically make your gameplay experience as comfortable as possible. It's going to help you improve. So I'm just going to get right into it here. Controller settings are going to be the most important. Probably going to spend the majority of the video here. And let's start off with the button layout. Button layout, I like tactical. Now, a lot of the things in this video I'm going to say are preference, but I think right here, this is a bit of an exception. I just genuinely think that tactical is better than default. So if you don't know the difference at this point between, and there's some other options here. Okay, you can look at these. You can look at these options. I know a lot of people like bumper jumper. You can look at these options if you want. So I would recommend taking a look at all of them, but I think most people, which is why I'm spending most time on it, are gonna fit between default and tactical. So the difference between default and tactical is on default, B button is your crouch, your prone, your slide, right stick is your melee. Tactical switches that. Tactical puts pretty much like all your movement focus in the thumbstick. So now you have your crouch, your prone, your slide, and you're going to be aiming with that right thumbstick as well. And your B button will be your melee. Now the reason I think tactical is just flat out better, and this is, I play claw. If you don't know what claw is, that's when you use your index finger to hit the A, B, X, Y buttons, essentially. I think regardless of whether you claw or not, I just think tactical is better. Especially if you don't claw. Because if you don't claw, you're going to have to be letting your thumb off your thumbstick, which is your right thumbstick is your aiming thumbstick. You're going to have to take your thumb off it to do your crouch, your prone, your slide movement. Like, that's just not good. You want to be able to move your aimer around while you're sliding around corners, like while you're hitting a crouch, drop shotting, stuff like that. You want to be able to move your aim while you're doing that. So especially if you don't play claw, I would recommend running tactical. It just makes more sense all around. Another big thing about running tactical, not just like the whole movement aspect of it, but accidental melees. That is something that I still see a lot of the time, is just accidental melees. People get in a gunfight they don't expect. Sorry, I just woke up. Can't talk. They like crunch up and they accidentally hit a little too hard on the right thumbstick and end up meleeing, and that just completely costs them the gunfight. Let's look at it this way. If you accidentally like tense up too hard and you hit a crouch or a prone, that's gonna help you compared to hitting a melee. Now don't get me wrong, there are some times where crouching and proning is not beneficial, but in general, I would say in the vast majority of situations, crouching or proning in the middle of a gunfight is going to help you. Whereas meleeing in the middle of a gunfight, vast majority of situations, unless you're directly in somebody's face and you already have a shot or two off on them, it's going to hurt you and it's going to get you killed. So that is why I think tactical is the way to go. Stick layout, if you're left-handed, look into this. If you're not, it's probably fine on default. Inverted is preference. Sensitivity. So sensitivity, I'm a pretty low sense player. I play on 4-4. I've always been kind of a lower sensitivity player. Honestly, I would recommend playing on 5-5 or 6-6. Even 7-7. 7-7 is like the highest that I would go, in my opinion. But I would recommend trying out 6-6, 5-5, something like that. If you are a low sense player like me, then give 4-4 a shot. The absolute lowest that I would recommend going is 3-3. 3-3, yeah, that's just the absolute lowest. Anything lower than this, you're not going to be able to turn on people efficiently. It's going to be like a little too sluggish. In theory, you want your aim to feel a little sluggish, to feel like you have to work a little bit to move your aimer around, but not that sluggish. Anything like lower than 3 is just, it's too much, and you're gonna be losing gunfights because of it. You want your aimer to feel slow enough to where you kind of have to like work a little bit to move it, but fast enough to where you still feel that freedom to be able to like move it around quickly and snap onto different targets, if that makes sense. Again, I'm a lower sensitivity player. That's why I like 4-4. And another thing, too, is like the weapons you like to use. If you like to use like SMGs and snipers, recommend a higher sensitivity. If you like to use ARs, LMGs, slower stuff. then I'd recommend like the lower sense. And if you have like a problem with precision, lower sense, I don't know, stuff like that. Anyways, mostly preference, but I'd recommend like 5.5, 6.6, 4.4. Anything else, you're kind of pushing it. This is a really nice option that a lot of people probably aren't aware of. This game has sensitivity multipliers for your ADS sensitivity. This is something that I believe was introduced in Black Ops 4. Really nice feature. They brought it back for this game. I would recommend looking into these. Honestly, I haven't experimented with it yet. I should probably change my high zoom. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I think low zoom at 1 is probably good for the majority of people. Again, preference, you can experiment with it, but I think this is probably fine. High zoom, though, and again, I haven't experimented with it yet, but I would imagine you should probably move your high zoom around a little bit. The default high zoom sensitivity, to me, feels a little low. At least with like my sensitivity settings, it feels a little low. So I might go in and work on adjusting my high zoom when I experiment with snipers and stuff. So I'd recommend looking into the high zoom. Low zoom, though, is probably good at 1.0, but just be aware that this is a thing. Aim response curve type. So I'm gonna do this as simply as possible. Linear, don't go with linear. Linear would be good if you're playing on a mouse. If you're playing on a controller, and obviously, if you're playing on a mouse, linear is basically like the raw mouse input. That's the way I see it. That's like what that would be. That does not work very well. Like that idea of aiming does not work very well on a controller with thumbsticks. Mouse and analog stick, it's just different. So do not go with linear. I don't think it translates very well to an analog stick. You want to go with dynamic or standard. Personally, I play on standard. The reason why I recommend standard is because dynamic has had a bit of an issue with controller drift. You run dynamic, a lot of people run into this issue where the controller starts drifting with it, so I would recommend just staying away from dynamic and just run standard. But run one of the two, just don't run linear. Controller vibration, I think it's better to have it off, but this is a preference thing. If you've been playing with Vibe on forever, if you prefer it, there you go, it's there, up to you. Aim assist, standard is the way to go. Do not disable your aim assist, okay? Nobody thinks you're cool for playing without aim assist. You're just stupid. Don't do it. That's really dumb, and you're going to look like an idiot, and you're going to sound like an idiot. The other two options, precision and focusing. Now, those options, I would not recommend experimenting with these options except for one very particular case, and it's something that's kind of broken about this game, and I don't recommend abusing this, but I'm just spreading awareness that it is a thing. So precision and focusing, if you put those types of aim assist on, it basically makes sniping broken. It makes sniping super broken and super easy, and it's kind of a joke, and it's like seriously an exploit that they need to fix. So that is a thing. Any other gun, you're going to be better. I mean, maybe like a shotgun, but any other gun besides shotgun or sniper, you're going to be better with standard. Run standard aim assist. Weapon mount activation. This is definitely preference here. Personally, I like the ADS plus melee. That prevents me from mounting on accident, and I don't find hitting the melee button to hit that mount that bad, so I kind of like this setting. Weapon mount movement exit. Basically, you have this on. It allows you to move to exit your mounts. I like this because it just feels natural to me. It feels natural to be able to move to exit my mounts. If I wasn't able to do that, I just think that the game would feel kind of weird, so I really like having that option on. Aim down sight behavior. I mean, you can try toggle if you want, but I really think you should have a hold on for the setting. Equipment behavior, same thing there. Use reload behavior. I mean, you can experiment with this stuff if you want, and you can try to find something if one of these feels more comfortable to you. I just run tap to reload. I find that and tap to reload, hold to use. I find that works pretty well for me. Maybe I would change that if I was playing like a battle royale or something, if that ever comes out for this game, but for the base game, I think that works fine. Depleted ammo weapon switch. I recommend having this on disabled. I think it's better to get used to having this on disabled. There are certain occasions where having this enabled, which I think it's enabled by default, can screw you over. There are some situations where it can maybe save you, but I think most of the time it's because in a lot of players' brains, you think like, oh, I'm out of ammo, now I have to switch to my gun, and you forget that this is an option. So like it's already automatically switching to your secondary, but you press the switch button because you forgot that this was an option, and it ends up screwing you over. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're somebody that legitimately forgets to switch to your gun when you're out of ammo, maybe have this on. But if you're like an experienced player, it kind of screws you over a lot of the time. That's why I have it disabled. Slide behavior. This is a new feature in this game. Really cool new feature. You can actually change it to tap slide. I recommend that. I think I like the way it feels. I recommend at least experimenting with it. So the auto move forward and the automatic sprint, I would recommend messing with these settings if your left thumb is hurting. If your left thumb is having issues, then look into these settings. Otherwise, probably disabled. and that one is yeah, that's whatever. I don't even know about the vehicle settings, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Don't use the vehicles. That shit's stupid. Brightness is preference, but I would recommend having something between 25 to 75. I think having brightness too low or too high is a detriment to a certain point. But I run it right at 60, you know, around the middle in this game. I'm generally a higher brightness guy. I just feel like this middle brightness feels good for this game. Safe area. Safe area is something that has a little try-hard sweat strat. So if you guys didn't know about this, if you move your safe area all the way in, it actually makes it so that your stuff like your ammo, your score, your mini-map, stuff like that, is closer to the middle of your screen, which means that, and most of the time you're going to be focusing on you should be focusing on the center of your screen, right? So there's periodic times where you're going to go check the score, you're going to check your ammo, you're going to check the mini-map, whatever. It's going to be, especially if you play like really close to your screen, less distance for your eyes to travel to see that stuff. So that's a little sweaty strat that if you weren't aware of that, you can change the safe area, move it really far in, and that may help you in a very minute way, but it may help you. So that is a thing. Film grain, turn that shit all the way down. Tooltips, disabled. This stuff is all preference. I like the way this Tritanopia colorblind setting looks. You might not. So this stuff is all the colorblind thing. Obviously, if you're actually colorblind, you're gonna want to look at that. But if you're not, I don't know. You might like the colors. You can mess around with it if you want. Motion blur. Turn motion blur off. Turn them both off. Terrible. Make sure you have motion blur off. If you don't, I cringe when I watch gameplay with motion blur on. It does not help you. Turn that shit off. It looks cool, but it's going to get you killed. Profanity filter. You're going to want that disabled. You're going to want that disabled, all right? If you don't have the profanity filter disabled, I don't know what to tell you, man. You should probably get off this game. Audio mix. I'd recommend trying all of them. Personally, I think it's between like boost high and boost low. I switch between boost high and boost low very often. Right now I'm running boost high, in a week I might be running boost low. It depends, but I recommend trying one of these two. I recommend trying all of them, see what you like, but I think it's between these two for which one's the best for sound whoring, and right now I prefer boost high. All this stuff, just mess around with it, get it to some point that you prefer. This is for voiceover, this is for the in-game music, this is like all the volume, and this is for like gunshots and shit like that. So just mess around with all this stuff, find something that you like. Juggernaut music, you're gonna want that enabled. I don't know why you'd disable that, come on bro. Hit marker sound effects, I like the classic sound, preference here though. Oh yeah, voice chat effect. What the fuck, this shit resets, bro. I changed this the other day. Okay, well, be aware of this then. This setting resets for some reason, but you're going to want this on no effect. If you want to understand people in game chat, you're going to want this on no effect. If it's not on no effect, then you're just not going to understand people. Last thing here, we go to account, and there's only one option here that I wanted to bring up, and that is crossplay. You can actually disable crossplay in this game. Now, one thing I do want to say, though, is that if you're playing Ground War, you have to have crossplay enabled. So that is something to be aware of. If you're a Ground War main, then you want your crossplay on because you have to have it on. Otherwise, if there's a reason, like if you're tired of playing PC players, or if you're a PC player, you're tired of playing controller players, whatever it is, because I know it can be annoying for both sides, just turn crossplay off. That's an option there. You can turn crossplay off just like that. There you go. That's a thing. Other than that, that's about it. If you guys have any questions, suggestions, stuff like that, leave them down in the comments. Hope this video helped out a bit, and I'll see you next time.